So I've just learned that Ukraine did a underwater bombing attack on the bridge in Crimea. I think that happened this morning. Don't quote me. So that's two strategic attacks that have taken place in the last 72 hours involving Ukraine going into Russia. Of course, Russia's going to retaliate, but not yet. Keep in mind the planning that Ukraine put into this. Not just Ukraine, you know that. You know better than that, I hope. But if it's true that it took 18 months to put all of this together in motion, then you can bet your ass that a NATO country is connected to this. And there are multiple NATO countries, including the one right here, that had a hand in this in some way, whether it's hands-on or working behind the scenes with intelligence. No doubt in my mind that the previous administration, meaning the Biden administration, had a big hand in this. I think Putin will most likely respond, and let's not rule out nukes. However, I don't see him pushing the red button. When I say nukes, it could be chemical related. And I spoke on that in my remote view sessions, but I don't want to mix the two up because I am not speaking on that at the moment. But southern Russia, Lithuania, you know, the bordering countries would be affected. The West, especially the UK, do you see what's going on? And France and Germany, do you care? You know, the wind can blow your way too. And I pray that this is not the case, but I'm just going to say but and leave it there with a dot on the end. You know, Russia's fully aware that Ukraine had help by the West. They already know that. Their intelligence is on this like shit on rice. NATO article, fire trip number 5, baby. Look it up if you don't know what I'm talking about. So here is my analysis of what could happen. Don't ask me if I remote viewed this. And don't ask me if I did anything else. Just analysis of my opinion. Russia will be cautious in responding back to the Ukrainian attacks that took place inside of Russia, because Russia is fully aware that this is part of the Western strategy. And when I listen to Lindsey Graham, he makes me sick to my stomach. And I hope this female that's running against Lindsey wins, because we know kind of how he feels towards feminine. Need I say more? That would really knock down an ego, wouldn't it? It would really knock down an ego if a female won and replaced him. Well, anyways, what do I know? It's a very high probability there. Because Graham, in my opinion, is a warmonger. Along with the leader of France, the UK, and the current regime in Germany. And Lindsey, you're not going to put Moscow, Russia, on their bended knees. And it's just not going to happen. Not right now. Not in this decade. And Lindsey and some of his other cohorts are going to learn this the hard way in the next 12 months, or maybe a little longer. And you're going to have a hard time dealing with the truth for what's to come. Oh, let's talk about President Trump. You know, Ukraine purposely blindsided Donald Trump before the massive drone attacks in Russia. I don't believe that President Donald Trump, had any idea that this was happening. This goes back to the old administration. Trump was deliberately left out in the dark, while Macron, Starmer, Schultz, Zelensky, people like Lindsey Graham were fully aware of this. And Trump wasn't. President Trump had no idea. So I wouldn't be so quick to run up on him, or Rubio, for that matter. I don't think these men were aware. It was kept from them because the far left knew that Trump and Rubio would not go for this. It's not part of the peace plan. Now, as far as who actually is involved, I believe it was Britain intelligence, all the way, 100%, in my opinion. Not factual. I'm not going to say I was shown this through remote viewing, but I will just tell you that I feel Britain intelligence was hands-on involving the attacks. Yes, the U.S. helped, but solely in the background through intelligence. So their intelligence played a role in this, but primarily I see Britain intelligence. And you're going to hear this. You're going to learn that it was Britain that was behind the primary attacks. And maybe France, but I'm getting Britain. Starmer and Macron were on a train 2 weeks ago in Kiev. They had just met with Zelensky and they were sitting on the train, you know, the whole scandal with the tissue and powder and the spoon, blah, blah. Well, they love powder. Everybody likes baby powder. It makes you smell good. Okay, anyways. And then we have Lindsey Graham dying to get over there to Ukraine, right? Like a day or two before these initial attacks took place in Russia's airbase. Come on, people knew. I think Trump is more focused in with other things. I know he's been dealing with topics including Elon Musk, so I really don't think this man was fully aware, but he is now. And there'll be no negotiations coming to the table. It will be solely ultimatums and maybe even declaring war. So yes, we can expect a response. Most definitely. And to these world leaders who support this war, like Macron, your country's fallen apart. Look at all the protests in France. We remote viewed that too, didn't we? Look at Germany. That's going to be next. But first it's going to be France and maybe the UK. But Macron is going to have his hands full. He will not be re-elected in 2026, as it will go right-wing. And eventually the UK will follow, and Germany may be last. But Germany's going to have more of a hand with Ukraine than any EU country. But that'll come a little later. All right, guys. Pray for the best outcome. Pray for peace. Pray for neutrality. However, we're not seeing it. No. Before I end the video, I was looking for Russian salad dressing. They didn't have it at Walmart. Went to my local grocery store close to where I live. We don't carry that anymore. So I had to order my Russian salad dressing online and my seasonings online. That's how bad things are getting. And it's scary for those of us who are in some way or another connected. Do you know what I mean? Praying for peace. Thanks for listening.